Good evening and thank you for joining us. From the pandemic response to healthcare, highways, and the rising cost of living, it was all on the table last night at the debate of Ontario's major party leaders.
It was the only official debate of the campaign. Siobhan Morris brings us the evening's big moments in the push for your vote.
All four major party leaders came together for the single primetime debate of this campaign.
Tonight, we welcome Ontario Progressive Conservative Party leader Doug Ford.
It was Ford the rest of the leaders spent most of their time attacking, challenging his handling of the pandemic.
It's easy to sit back from the sidelines when you didn't have to make the tough decisions that I had to make and criticize. You have the easiest job if you just sit there and criticize.
Mr. Ford, respectfully, Mr. Ford, respectfully, this is the job that you signed up for 4 years ago.
NDP leader Andrea Horwath honed in on the rising cost of living.
There's no doubt that things were bad before Mr. Ford took office, but it's been 4 years and life's gotten harder for folks.
Ford highlighted his party's temporary cut to the gas tax and killing license plate sticker renewal fees.
Well, unlike the other three parties, I'm a strong believer in putting money back into people's pockets.
Talking up a booming economy, Mike Schreiner sees things differently.
If Mr. Ford's going to talk about the jobs of the future, then why is he so actively hostile about the jobs of the future?
Del Duca focused on a plan to axe a key part of the PC platform.
Highway 413 makes no sense whatsoever. It's $10 billion of your money, my money, Ontario's money.
Promising to use that cash instead for education. Horwath promised a renewed commitment to all facets of healthcare.
We need to invest in our hospitals. We need to scrap Bill 124, make sure that we're respecting those healthcare workers who we call heroes and then we treat like dirt.
While Horwath pitches New Democrats as the safe bet to unseat the PCs, Schreiner is only hoping for some company.
We finally have a Green MPP at Queen's Park who's punched well above his weight over the last 4 years. And I need more Green MPPs.
Advanced polls in this election open on Thursday.
Tonight, we continue our local coverage of the provincial election by introducing another candidate in Thunder Bay Superior North. Shelby Chung is a Liberal nominee for the June 2nd vote. Corey Nordstrom brings us this candidate's profile.
Shelby Chung is the first new face for the Liberal Party in Thunder Bay Superior North in 27 years. The Thunder Bay City Councillor is confident that she has the skills to take the torch from Michael Gravel and once again ensure a Liberal victory in the riding.
I think it's important to run in this election because we need a strong, renewed voice in Queen's Park from Northwestern Ontario.
Chung believes her 8 years on City Council has prepared her to represent the riding and convince prospective voters that she should get their vote on June 2nd.
I had one of the largest portfolios for committees and work. I know the region well, I know the city well. I've advocated on behalf of the city in Toronto with ministers, and I believe that's the skill set I need to take with me when I go to Queen's Park.
From her time door-knocking, Chung has found that voters in Thunder Bay Superior North have three main priorities they want addressed by their MPP: housing, healthcare, and education. The Liberal candidate believes she can be the one to address them at the provincial table.
Healthcare is atrocious. They're facing a pandemic, shortages, caps on wages. It's unbearable for our frontline health workers, and we need to heal those front lines. Reinvesting into our education, especially for our youth. There's not one parent I've spoken with that wants more screen time for their children, yet the Conservatives want to have more screen time for children and do away with more teachers. It's not the way to do modern education.
Corey Nordstrom, TBT News.
Highway 11 between Nipigon and Beardmore has been closed in both directions after a sinkhole developed in the middle of the highway just west of Orient Bay. The Ontario 511 website first reported the closure around 3:30 this afternoon and later attributed the closure to washout damage. Traffic control is in place and there's no word on when the highway will reopen. Thunder Bay City Council has approved more funding to help tackle homelessness and poverty. Last night's meeting at City Hall also included the results of the telephone portion of the Citizen Satisfaction Survey, providing details about issues that are most important to local residents. Vasilios Bellows reports.
City Council voted in favor of creating a $1 million fund to tackle homelessness and poverty within Thunder Bay. It will be a top-up of the already existing Community Partnership Fund, which originally sat at $200,000. The funding project will be reviewed in 2 years, with accountant Kelly Andrews saying this gives the city time to better understand the need.
Is to see what type of uptake that we do have. So I can't really give you a definite answer tonight, but we do intend to bring an amount likely to bring it to an uncommitted $1 million balance going forward as well annually.
The only vote against the funding initiative was from Mayor Bill Morrow, who believes this would replace dollars that could be coming from the provincial or federal governments.
I think those projects will come anyway. And when they do, as a council, we need to be receptive and we need to accommodate where we can.
Also looked at was the telephone survey portion of the 2022 Citizen Satisfaction Survey, which questioned 500 people aged 18 or older. There was also an online portion which will have its results revealed in the coming days. The telephone survey saw crime as the most important issue on the mind of Thunder Bay residents, jumping 10% from 2019. The amount of people that feel they've had the opportunity to engage on topics of interest is down 10% from 2019, with Director of Strategic Initiatives and Engagement Tracy Smith believing there are a few ways to explain this.
And if anything, people may be feeling engagement fatigue over the course of the pandemic. There have been a lot of opportunities to provide feedback virtually as opposed to in person. So that may be impacting the results. This is something that we really have never seen before.
The results of the online portion of the Citizen Satisfaction Survey are expected to be released later this week. With around 2,800 respondents, it is expected to provide an even more accurate representation of the issues most important to Thunder Bay residents. Vasilios Bellos, TBT News.
A day after the District Medical Officer of Health says she believes COVID-19 cases have plateaued, there are signs that hospitalizations may have begun to level off as well. After reaching as high as 44 last Wednesday, the number of patients has fallen nearly every day since. There are now 32 COVID cases at the regional. 5 of those patients are in the ICU. The hospital's occupancy rate is more than 106%, while the intensive care is 86% full. The district's latest vaccine numbers show that more than 2,600 shots were administered last week. According to the Ministry of Health, 86% of people 5 and up have received at least 2 doses. 58% of those 12 and up have gotten at least 3 shots, and 28% of people 60 and up have 4 shots.
Gas prices in Thunder Bay continue to rise as some local stations have gone up another 10 cents. As of this afternoon, 3 of the Esso gas bars in the city have bumped up their prices to $2.12.9 a liter. Most other stations are also now above the $2 mark, with prices ranging from $2.069 to $2.099. On the Fort William First Nation, the prices range from $1.71 to $1.79 per liter. According to OntarioGasPrices.com, the average cost in Ontario is $2.059 per liter. That's up 10 cents from a week ago and up 33 cents over the last month.
The ongoing war in Ukraine has left destruction and devastation in its wake. Fortunately, many families have been able to escape the war-torn country, including the McCava family, who have found a temporary home in Thunder Bay. Jessica Clement has the story.
The family of 3 is made up of Father Zamir, Mother Yulia, and 3.5-year-old Barbara. The Mikavas came from Lviv in western Ukraine and have been staying in Thunder Bay with Yulia's second cousin Marika Warvoda and her husband Walter for a few weeks now. They left their city on the second day of the Russian invasion, and after 3 days were able to cross the border into Poland, where they stayed for about a month. After that, they made their way to Canada.
We were lucky enough to get relatively quickly the Canada-Ukraine authorization for emergency travel and all the relevant documentation. And we made contact with them during the course of that month or so, and they were welcomed into our home and they were happy to finally get here.
The Warvodas have been in close contact with the Mikavas since the war started, and Walter says the most stressful part was when the Russian attacks first began.
The early days of the war were particularly tense, especially when they were having to make their way to the border, and literally it was 3.5 days in an automobile to try and just even get to the Polish border in the early days of the war. And that's with a small 3.5-year-old in the car with them. So it was quite challenging.
The family will start looking for work after settling in. And while they're enjoying the beauty of Canada and are hoping to stay for a while, they're anticipating a quick and peaceful end to the war back home.
It's always nice to be anywhere, but of course they're hoping for a swift end to the war in Ukraine, that Ukraine will regain its lost territories and will be whole once again.
Jessica Clement, TVT News.
Well, hopefully that family enjoys their time while they're here, but obviously we're all hoping for a quick return. Meanwhile, the fundraising for Ukraine relief got a big boost in Thunder Bay today. The Halfway Motors Group dealerships have helped raise a total of $80,000 to help those affected by the Russian invasion. Officials at Halfway challenged themselves and the community to raise money for the Canadian Red Cross Ukraine Humanitarian Crisis Appeal. The 3 dealerships committed to match all donations from the community up to $50,000 and also donate $100 from each new Nissan, Mazda, and Power Sports product sold in March and April. Halfway partner Daniel Trevisanuto says the end result was an $80,000 donation to the relief effort in Ukraine.
We felt that it was very important for us to take action with this cause and try to do all our small effort to try to support the efforts that the Ukraine war, and because there's such a large population of Ukraine heritage in this part of the world, in this city.
Trevisanuto says the donation will be funneled through the Red Cross and goes directly overseas to help those in Ukraine.
A big donation for the underground gym this week. Iron Range Bus Lines has donated one of its used school buses to the organization which serves underprivileged youth. The underground gym's former minibus broke down this past winter and could not be repaired. But now the gym has a full-size bus to use for field trips and making sure youth can access the facility on Victoria Avenue. Iron Range GM Eric Lato says they'll also make sure maintenance is done on the bus whenever it needs it. The bus has already been painted black, including 2 letters on the word school, so it will now be known as the Cool Bus. Underground founder Peter Panetta says the gym has 50 to 60 regular members and many other drop-in clients who will benefit from this donation.
The impact is huge. We don't have to say no to any kid now that wants to come to the underground. When we go to different little areas that we pick up the children on the way, I'm actually considering going to Limerick and pick up kids up there. There's a ton of kids that want to come.
His old bus was getting in rough shape. There's certainly a need for a bigger, more kids that they needed to accommodate. So just in working together and partnering with Peter, we found him one of our buses that was actually just coming off being decommissioned. It's a newer, reliable, it's in great shape, so it should be provide lots of years of use for Peter in the underground gym.
We're very thankful to Iron Range for donating the bus, and yes, like my dad said, it's very hard when I only had the van to pick up kids, and then he had the pickup truck, but this makes it a lot easier, and we're super grateful.
Iron Range staff also helped train Peter Panetta on how to drive and park the big bus so that he could get his Class B license.
What a story, all painted black. It is a cool bus.